Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, we're going to go over WordPress content. And when I say content, I mean the words, images, videos, and audio on your website. More specifically, I'm going to show you how to add pages, posts, and content to your site and how to format it. Right now on my site, I haven't done much, but I want to add some pages and some posts. So first thing is log into your website, of course. Now, if you look at the left sidebar, you'll see posts up here and pages down here. That's where you can add and edit posts and pages. But what's the difference between the two? Well, they're both just pages on your website. There's no actual difference between the two. The only difference is that a blog post is listed on your blog page, whereas a page isn't. So if I click on post, you can see all of my blog posts listed here. There are 3 posts, and if I go to my blog page, you can see all 3 blog posts listed here. So the blog page is basically just an index of your articles, which are called posts. Now, the blog page just displays however many articles you want displayed, so people can scan the list and click on whatever article they want to read. Some websites set up a blog page for their post, and other websites use their home page as the main blog page. It depends on what your goals are, how you want to set up your site, and what WordPress theme you use to build your website. Generally, your pages will be included on your main navigation menu, and your post won't. So posts will be listed on your blog page and wherever you link to them internally. So when I say page, I mean a page or a post. They're the same thing. The difference is where and how the page is displayed on your site. To add a new page or post, you simply go to either post or page and click add new. So here or here. Now, when you add a page or edit a page, this is the editor. This is where you enter the content and format everything. And if you look at the top right, you'll see 2 tabs. One says visual and the other says text. If you click on visual, you'll get the visual editor. It's similar to Microsoft Word. You just type words in, and if you want to format something, you can use the tool buttons up above. It's more of a what you see is what you get kind of thing. Now, if you click on text, that's where you can edit the HTML code. So the visual editor is for normal text editing like a WordPress or like a word processing software, and the text editor is for editing HTML code. So let me open up one of the published blog posts. I'll just click on it and that opens up the editor, or you can click on edit under the title. And if you look at the headings in the visual editor, they're big and bold, just like they'll appear when we publish the post. But if I switch to text editor and you look at the headings, they aren't big and bold like they are in the visual editor. They do have the HTML code for H3 surrounding them, which means when displayed in a browser, it will be styled based on the heading 3 properties. So if you don't know anything about HTML or how to edit HTML, then don't use the text editor. Just stick with the visual editor. One more thing about the editor, and this is important. There is a problem within the WordPress system. When you switch back and forth between the visual and text editor, it can cause formatting problems and actually erase HTML code. Specifically, I've seen it erase line breaks when you go from HTML to visual and back to HTML. For example, if I type a line break in the HTML text editor, then I go back to visual, then back to text editor, it's gone. And if you have a long article with a bunch of line breaks, you don't want to lose that formatting. So before you switch between the two, make sure you save it, update it, and or copy everything before you switch. Otherwise, you might have to go back through and reformat everything. In fact, a good rule of thumb is to create your content in Word, Pages, text editor, Notepad, or whatever you use, then paste that content in and format everything. When you do that, make sure you save or you update it frequently, because sometimes the editor can crash. So cover your bases so you don't lose all your content when making changes. WordPress does have an automatic save function, so it saves the info automatically every 5 minutes or so. So if you do lose your content for some reason, you can scroll to the bottom of the page, look at the most recent autosave, and restore it. You might lose some changes, but maybe not everything by restoring the last autosave. If you don't see the revisions option at the bottom of the page, you can go all the way to the top. Click here on Screen Options and make sure that Revisions is checked. Then scroll down and you should see the revisions. Click on the most recent one and it will show you the content as well as the details down below. Now, if you want to create a new page or post, all you have to do is click Add New. And you can find that at the top if you're actually in Post or Pages already, up here, or on the left sidebar under Post, or down here under Pages. It's the same setup. So I'm going to create a new post. I'll just click here on Add New. Now, a couple of things over here under Publish. You can see there are some options. The first one is Save Draft. So if you want to save a draft instead of publishing it, you just click right here. And if you're working on a draft, make sure you save it frequently. It won't let you save it unless you add some content first. So I'm going to add a title, then I'll just click Save Draft. Now if I go back to my post, it will be listed and it will have draft next to it, so I know it isn't published yet. And I'll just click on it again to open it up in the editor. Under Publish, you have another option I want to point out. Let's say you finish this draft, everything is good, but you don't want to publish the post until Monday morning. So all you have to do is click on Edit next to where it says Publish Immediately and change the date and time to the date and time you want it to go live on your site. Hit OK, then you hit Schedule, and it automatically posts at the scheduled time. Just make sure you have your time zone set properly under Settings and General. And it uses military time, so there's no AM and PM. Now, most blogs are set up to automatically display the title of your post as the H1 heading on the page. The title is what you enter here. And if I view this post on the website, you can see that the title is also my primary heading, which in this case is an H2, but most blogs display it automatically as an H1. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you generally don't have to add a main heading to your blog post, but you probably will with your pages. So if I go back and click on my sample page, there's no heading on this page, even though the title of the page is sample page. So I would have to add an H1 tag for this page. It also depends on what WordPress theme you use. Some themes automatically add the title to your page, and other themes you have the option to turn it on or off. So this is where you enter the title of your post, which also serves as the heading. And by default, the URL, which is displayed right here, matches the title because that's how we set it up in our settings under permalinks. But you can edit the URL. So if you have a really long title like blog post number 2 is the greatest blog post in the history of the world, that won't make a good URL. It's too long, it's not user friendly, and it's just unnecessary. So click on Edit next to the URL and we can change it to say blog-post-2. So blog post 2. That's much easier to remember, it's much shorter and easier for people to share. And if you're targeting a specific keyword, but the title is really long and maybe the keyword is near the end for some reason, then you can just edit the URL to include just your keyword phrase. So I'll hit Edit again, type in the keyword phrase, and hit OK. Having your keyword phrase in URL can help you from an SEO perspective. If you can keep the URL short and add your keyword phrase, then go for it. The URL can't have spaces in it, so common practice is to just put a dash between the words. And when you're done editing, just hit OK and you have a new URL. If you look over here on the right side, you'll see 2 more sections, categories and tags. These are to help you organize your post and help people find posts with specific subjects. For example, let's say you're a photographer and you write articles about wildlife photography and portrait photography. Well, maybe someone comes to your site and they only want to see articles about portrait photography. They don't want to see the articles on wildlife photography. So if they click on the category labeled portrait photography, then it will display only the articles within that category. If I go to the blog page, you can see that with this theme, the category is displayed right under the title right here. So if I click on it, it shows me all of the articles in that category, which this is the only one. But if there were more, then they'd all be displayed. And the tag, it serves the same purpose, but you can get a little more specific if you want to with tags. Maybe it's in the portrait photography category, but it's about camera lenses. So you could add a tag called camera lens. You can add one called best camera lens or a Canon lens. If people are looking for that, then it can help them find it. So that's the purpose of category and tags. If you want to break things up into categories and use tags, that's where you do it. You can also access the categories and tags under post. There's a separate section for each one where you can add and edit categories and tags in the left under posts. Okay, so let's say you have a format that you want to use for your blog post over and over. An easy way to do that is to save a draft with the proper formatting and then just copy and paste when you want to reuse that format. So if I want to add a new blog post, I can open up an old post, copy everything, then paste it into the new post. The key is to make sure that you paste it into the same editor that you copy it from. That means if you copy the text from the visual editor, make sure you paste it into the visual editor, not the text editor. And the opposite is true too. If you copy it from the text editor, make sure you paste it into the text editor. If you paste HTML code into the visual editor, it's not going to work. So if you're going to copy and paste, be sure you copy and paste into the proper editor. If you use Microsoft Word or a text editor to write a post and then you want to paste that content into the editor, you can do that 3 different ways. First, you can paste it directly into the visual editor. Second, you can click this button on the toolbar and paste it as plain text. If you don't see that button, make sure you're on visual editor and you can click this button up here, which displays or hides the bottom bar. So you can paste it into the box as plain text, and you can see there's an option to keep line breaks. Make sure that's checked if you want to keep the line breaks. Third, if you click this button next to paste as plain text, you can paste from a Word document. That's supposed to help strip all the formatting from it, but sometimes you have to test the different methods and figure out what works for you. Now, once you have your content in, you can format it using the options in the toolbar. You have bold, italics, strike through, you have lists, underlined, quotes, centered, and you can change the color of the text right here. So let's make a few changes. If I want to add an H1 heading, then I select the text I want to edit. Just click on the drop-down menu and choose the style I want, which is H1. And down here, I'll just select more text and I'll hit bold. Then I will select some more text and change the color. And then let's just do a quick underline. Now, if you want to create a link to another page on your website or another page outside of your website, you select the text you want to use as the anchor text. Then you click on the link up here. You either paste in the entire URL or you just type it in. Make sure it's accurate. And you also have the option to select a link from one of your current pages. So let's say I want to create an internal link to one of my blog posts. I can click this arrow and it displays all of my pages and posts. I just click on the one I want and it fills in the info. You don't need a title, although you can leave it if you want. Underneath the title, you see this option that says open link in a new window or tab. In most cases, you won't want to use this. Some people find it annoying when links open up in a new tab, so it's a good way to frustrate your visitors. If they want to open it in a new tab, it's easy enough for them to do on their own. But if you have a long list of items or some good reason for having a link open in a new window or a new tab, then you just check this option. So when you're done, you make sure everything's accurate, click Add Link, and you can see the text you had selected is now a link. So let's save the changes on the page and see what it looks like. I'll hit Save, and then I'll hit Preview, and you can see how the formatting looks. The best thing to do is just experiment with all the buttons and the formatting options. Just create a draft, enter your content, save it, experiment, see how the content looks, preview it. You don't have to publish it, and if you want to delete it, all you have to do is hit the Move to Trash button over here. Or if you go back to the main post or pages page and you hover over the different titles, you'll see the trash option below. So you can select that option and send it to the trash. If you accidentally trash the wrong page or post, then the trash is right here. You can just click on it, go back and restore it unless you've already emptied the trash, which is good to do. You won't be able to use the same title or URL as a post if it's still in the trash bin. So if you want to get rid of a draft and create a new one with the same name, you're going to have to empty the trash first. Now let's go back to my blog page, and if you notice on the two posts I created, the text stops in mid-sentence and trails off with an ellipsis. The reason it does that is because I have the theme settings automatically create an excerpt with a Read More button. Otherwise, the entire blog post would be displayed and the page would be like a mile long. So one of the main purposes of a blog is to display brief summaries of the articles so visitors can browse the article headlines and intro paragraphs and choose what they want to read, not to display the entire article on that page. That would defeat the purpose of the blog page. So there's another option other than automatically having the theme do it itself. So let me turn off the automatic excerpt option in my theme settings, and after I do that, I will show you what the blog page looks like. So you can see that the entire blog post is now displayed, and if I had 6 or 10 posts on this page, it would be way too long. Now let's go back to the post and I'll show you a different option. I'll click on blog post number 2 to open up the editor. Next, I'll put my cursor where I want to create the break. So when my cursor is in place, I hit this button up here, which is the More tag. After you click the button, you should see the line with the More button. So let's hit Update, make the change go live, and see what happens. So now you can see that the excerpt doesn't end in the middle of a sentence, and you have the Read More button right here underneath. It's a good option because you can choose where the break goes instead of it automatically being created. So let's go add one to the other blog post, and then we can update that, and both of the long posts will then have the Read More button added, and it won't interrupt the paragraph in mid-sentence. So I'll go back to Post, choose Blog Post 1, put the cursor where I want, and click on the More button. Then update the changes, and let's look at the results. So there we go, both articles have the button now. So that's how you create excerpts using the Read More button. Now let's say we want to add an image to the blog post, and we want that image to be in the right top corner of the post right here. So let's go back to Posts. I'll edit blog post number 2. Again, I need to put the cursor where I want the image to go. The image is going to go at the top, so I put the cursor at the very beginning. Then I click Add Media button right up here at the top. And when you click on Add Media, that opens up your media library. It shows you all of the images you have in your library. I haven't added the image I want to use yet, so I'm going to go up here and click on this option, Upload Files. That opens up the media uploader, and I can either drag and drop the file into the box or click Select Files, which opens up my hard drive. Then just select the image, click open, and the file is added to your library. When it's done uploading, make sure it's selected by clicking on the image. You can update the title and alt text. You always want to add the alt text because that's the keyword for the image. So I'll add a keyword here. Then go down to the attachment display settings, and we want our image to be displayed on the right. So click on alignment and choose right. Now, if you want your image to link to something, this is where you choose what to link to. You can add a custom URL, a media file, attachment page, or none. I don't want it to link to anything, so I'm just going to select none. Next, you can choose the size if you need to change the size of the image, and you can adjust these settings by going to settings and media. I want it to be full size, so I'll select that. When the settings are good, hit insert and the image is inserted into your article. Make sure you hit update or save if it's a draft, and let's see how it's displayed. So there you go, exactly where we want it to be displayed. Now, if you change your mind and you want to edit something, you can click the image and then click on the image icon up here in the left. That opens up a window where you can make changes if you need to. If you just want to delete the image, you can just click on the image and then click on the big red circle with the line through it, which means delete image. Now the picture's gone, and after you make changes, make sure you hit update or save. Just experiment with the images, try different things, find out what works, what doesn't work. The more you use it, the better you'll get. So now maybe you want to add a YouTube video. There are a couple different ways to do that. The easiest way is to just copy the URL and paste it on a separate line. That's it. So hit save or update, and let's see if it worked. And there's the YouTube video. Now, if you notice, the video doesn't go all the way to the end of our column. So if you want to be precise, the other way you can embed a YouTube video is go to YouTube, find the video you want, click share, then click on embed, and before you copy the code, go down to video size right here and choose custom size. Now I already know my column is 620 pixels wide, so I'll enter 620 here, then hit tab and it auto completes the height for me. So now I can copy the code, then I go back to my post, and now remember, I have to paste this into the text HTML editor. Since it's code, I can't paste it into the visual editor, it won't work. So first, save or update my draft. Then I'll click on text. I'll put my cursor where I want the video to go. I'll put it right here. Then I just paste the code right here. Hit update or save. Then I'll go back to the visual editor, and you can see there's a big placeholder where the video is displayed. Now I'm going to hit update again since I just switched back to visual editor. I just want to cover myself, and let's see what the post looks like now. Now we have the image aligned to the right. We have the original YouTube video we posted here, and now we have a bigger YouTube video that fills the column. So if you don't want to mess with the code, just use the URL in the visual editor. It works just as well. So we've covered a lot of stuff. Now you should understand how to add content to your website, how to create pages and post, how to add media to your articles. So go crazy, create some pages, save them as drafts so they won't be published, and just experiment on how to format things, how to add and subtract things, and you should get the hang of it in no time. So that's it for this video. I will see you in the next one.